Well, hey everybody, and welcome back to Well Seasoned Hiker. I want to talk about a couple of things today. I want to talk about, well, I guess you'd call it something old, something new. Nothing borrowed, nothing blue. I want to talk about some things that I am not changing to my kit this summer, some things that I've been using over and over again, year after year, that have stood the test of time, that I can almost guarantee you that if you were to pick up, will last you year after year after year. The something new are some of the things I'm going to be changing to my kit this summer, mainly to add a little bit more comfort to my days on the trail. And so we'll be getting into those things. But before I dive in, I first wanted to say thank you. Thank you to the subscribers out there. We've hit 1,000 subscribers. I never thought in my life that I'd hit 1,000 subscribers. So thank you to those of you that have subscribed. And if you're checking this video out, or you've checked out some of my other videos and you haven't subscribed, I really would appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. It means a lot to me. I really would appreciate that. So let's get started with the something new. Let me first start with this inflation sack and this new Flextail Pump Zero. Now, let me just start by saying these inflation sacks actually work pretty good if you use them the right way. The downside is if you don't want to get a hole in your sleeping pad, you're going to want to make sure that you're inflating your sleeping pad inside the tent. You don't want to inflate your pad on top of a rock or in a meadow. That's just an opportunity to get a pinhole leak in your sleeping pad, and there's nothing worse than having a hole in your sleeping pad when you're on a multi-day trip. So I recommend that you inflate your pad while it's inside the tent, preferably on top of a 1/8 inch thick Gossamer Year pad. That's what I use, just to ensure that that pad doesn't get a leak. What that means is you got to be a little bit more flexible than I am at my age anyway, to inflate those pads and do it in a comfortable way. I mean, I don't have a problem doing it. It's just, it's not as comfortable as just sticking this Flextail pump in the pad and inflating that, and I don't have to worry about it. Now, you might say this is heavier, it's got a battery, but here's the truth. Here is the truth, my friends. This inflation sack weighs 59 grams. This Flextail Pump Zero with battery weighs 60 grams. It's 1 gram different. And on a good day, this actually is 60 grams. These are both 60 grams. Virtually the same weight. This, I have to be a contortionist sometimes to inflate my pad, and after a long day on the trail, it's not something I really enjoy. This, I can just plug it in and go. Now, there are downsides here. This is it's a point of failure. This will never fail unless you get a hole in it. This is a point of failure. If you have a bad battery or you run out of battery, that can be a problem. So I'm going to be checking this out this summer. This will be one of the things that I'm going to change up for comfort purposes, and it doesn't cost me any weight. That's number one. The number two change I'm going to be making has to do with my toilet paper. I don't know about you. This is probably for me, I don't know, 5 or 6 days worth of toilet paper. So 38 grams. And I'm going to be changing it up with these dehydrated toilet paper tabs from Pact. So call this 6 days worth of toilet paper, 38 grams, 6 days worth of toilet paper, 13 grams. I save a little bit of weight. These are dehydrated, so you add a little water to them, and they turn into these basically moist towelettes. So not only, and they're strong. You can rinse them off if you wanted to and reuse them. I'm not sure I would, but you could do that. You'll actually be cleaner than just wiping with dry toilet paper. So they're lighter, they take up less space, they're cleaner, and I'd still pack out my toilet paper either way. So I save a little bit of weight there. Although I'm not doing it for weight purposes, I'm doing it mainly for being cleaner. That's item number two. Item number three has to do with something I purchased this winter and I've been using on the last couple of trips, and that is my Zenbivy quilt. Can you read that? I bought a new Zenbivy quilt, and with that, I made a couple of changes to the other portions of my sleep system that takes advantage or advantage of or leverages some of the features of the ZenBivy quilt. Now, this quilt is a 10-degree ultralight quilt. It's a little warm for summertime backpacking in the Sierras. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be switching from my Sea to Summit Aeros pillow to the ZenBivy pillow. Now, you don't need to buy a ZenBivy sleep system to get this pillow. It is bigger, and it's about 90 grams heavier than the Sea to Summit pillow. But the sleep quality that I get with this pillow is unbelievable. And when I couple that with my next change, which is the ZenBivy light sheet. This is the uninsulated light sheet from ZenBivy. You can see there, ZenBivy. I have adapted my 20-degree Enlighten equipment quilt to be able to accept the hooks on my ZenBivy light sheet. The benefit here is now my non-ZenBivy quilt won't gap up, won't fall off of me while I'm rolling around in bed. It will act just like a ZenBivy quilt, and I'll get all the same comfort of this ZenBivy sheet without having to bring the heavier and warmer ZenBivy quilt and without having to buy another quilt. I adapted this just simply with 2mm paracord and some tenacious tape, and I'm good to go. So that's the next change. This also adds a little bit of weight. The ZenBivy light sheet versus the straps, 19 grams, the sheet, 96 grams. So about 80 grams more, a little bit less than 80 grams more for the sheet. But sleep quality is much better with the sheet. So those are the things I'm changing this summer. I'm going with the FlexTail pump. I'm going with the packed wipes. I'm going with the ZenBivy pillow, and I'm going with the ZenBivy light, uninsulated light sheet to improve my sleep quality. The things I'm not changing, the things that have stood the test of time, the things that I use year after year are, starting with the Sawyer Squeeze. The Sawyer Squeeze, this one is about 3 years old. I backwash it. I wash it with distilled vinegar in the wintertime, and the flow rate on this is about as good as it was the day I bought it. I have no complaints. I have other filters. I've got a platypus filter. I've got a Be-Free. I've got even a Sterapen. This thing is just awesome. And I combine that with another item that I am using year after year after year, and that's this Canuck 2-liter dirty water bag. And for those of you that saw my JMT hike, you'll see that my Canuck bag got eaten by the mice, but I bought a new one, and so I continue to use the Canuck water bags. I have a little adapter here on the end of my Sawyer Squeeze that allows it to pair up with the Canuck bag. And boom, I got a gravity water filter. Canuck bags open from the top and are easy to fill on just about any stream or lake. I love these things. And I've had this for, well, not this particular unit because, like I said, last year, or whatever it was, last year, a couple of years ago, my Canuck bag got eaten by the mice. But needless to say, this thing has been a great product for me personally. The next thing is my cook kit. And there's 2 items of this cook kit that I've been using for years and years. And that number 1 is this Toaks 750 pot. I love this pot. It's the right size for dehydrated meals and coffee, and that's all I usually use it for, is for boiling water. If you're gonna cook a meal, it may be too small, but I don't cook in my pot other than coffee. The second item that is a part of my cook set that I've had for years and years and years is this pocket rocket. This is the older pocket rocket. It doesn't have a piezo lighter. I know a lot of people prefer the BRS 3000. The BRS 3000 is lighter, but it doesn't burn as hot, so it takes longer to to boil a pot of water, which means you're using more fuel. So I'm not sure how much weight you're really saving. And additionally, it doesn't do as well in the wind. Again, with that in mind, probably using more fuel as well. So the Pocket Rocket is my go-to. I don't know about the Pocket Rocket Deluxe. It may not fit in this pot. I've seen some reports that it doesn't, and I've seen one in the store and it looks huge compared to this old Pocket Rocket. So that's what I'm sticking with. And I've had like that for, I don't know. It's got to be going 5 years by now. So those are two more items that I'm keeping that I'll be using again this summer that haven't changed. The final item, for those of you that are chair freaks, I have a Helinox. So for those of you that think that these chairs are worthless, you're probably under 40 years old. Just saying. I love my Chair Zero. I've gone on a couple of backpacks recently and I haven't brought this chair, and every time I do, I have wished I had it with me. Except for, if you're in the snow, it's kind of pointless. But I love this thing. I'll even be bringing it with me on my Sierra High Route trip, which starts on August 18th. I won't leave this behind anymore. So that's another comfort item, but it's one that is the same, and I've had this chair for years and years now. So there you have it. Some things that are new, some things that are old. These are the things that I'll be making changes to or not on the trail this summer. Hopefully you found these ideas useful. If you did, please, leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you have some things that you're changing or things that you think are just like rock solid or never going to change in your kit, leave those in the comments below. I really would appreciate hearing from you. And until then, good hiking.